Hello, I'm Deborah Cedillo Dugan, and welcome to another virtual report. Today, we're talking about city parks, and not all has been bad news this past year. In fact, we have a lot of updates happening at some local parks around the city of Phoenix. Joining me now is Greg Bach. He is the Public Information Officer for the city of Phoenix and the Parks and Rec. Greg, it's great seeing you. Lots of good news, even though we've had a lot of bad news this past year. How have we turned lemons into lemonade for the city of Phoenix?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for having me. Well, sure, it has certainly been a challenging year, but throughout the pandemic, we've been able to keep our parks and our hiking trails open. So that's been exciting. We've had throughout the last year different times where different amenities were closed for various reasons as we've worked through COVID. But exciting that one of the main things that our department focused on last year in terms of improvements was work on playgrounds. And over the last year, we've either renovated or installed 18 new playgrounds around the city. In total, we have 160 playgrounds in 185 parks. So really, if you're looking for a playground, there is something that is really close to just about everybody within the city. But I'm excited that 18 of those are either new or renovated, and some really unique and exciting options out there for everybody.
Absolutely. Now let's talk a little bit about the funding, because I know some of the funding actually did in fact come through some CDB grants through the neighborhood services, but other is like voter approved money that actually helped increase some of these renovations for those parks.
Right, that's right. So we had 14 that we did that were part of Community Development Block Grant funding, which was a partnership between our department and neighborhood services. And those CDBG funds are from the federal government, from the Housing and Urban Development Department. And so that was a way that we were able to use those. And those are funds that are given to us that need to be used in low and moderate income level areas around the community. So 14 of those playgrounds went into areas of the city that fell into that category. And so that's money that isn't coming out of our capital improvement fund. But some of the other projects that we did that were either new playgrounds or a situation where we renovated a park, and part of that renovation was a new playground, is from the Phoenix Parks and Preserve Initiative, which is a voter approved sales tax. And that provides the primary funding for our annual capital improvements that we do across the city. And that could be work on a playground, it could be building or renovating a rec center, it can be work on trails, and it also helps to fund some of the cost of rangers and some of those things that go into managing those recreation facilities. But sort of a mix there. And then I know we're going to talk a bit about it here more in a moment, but some work that's going on in Hance Park and downtown. And that's a project that's a public and private partnership. So it's some of 3PI money that the city is putting into that. And then we're working with some partners in the community to raise some private funds for that. And talk in a moment here about a project that we did there that we got some private funding from as well.
Well, I love it, and I wanted to get all that funding out of the way so we can talk really about all the fun stuff, which what this means to residents and all this update and renovation. So you did say something I want to zone in on, because in regards to this funding, it's great because we have the public-private partnerships, we have actually city dollars, voter approved. It all goes down to back into the community. Really, bottom line, sales tax, any of those things that come back, percentage goes back to these departments. So that's all great news. So now let's talk about the fun part. And I do want to talk about Margaret T. Hance Park in just a moment, but we'll hold off on that because let's talk about all the other renovations happening in some of the other city parks, like new playgrounds for these tots.
Yeah, so just in the last couple of weeks here, we've opened a couple of them. So one is in Washington Park, which is over 23rd Avenue between Glendale and Bethany Home Road. It's a large park there. We have a pool, we have a rec center there, a lot of other, a dog park as well too, a lot of other great amenities in the park. But we did redo the playground there, and so that was something that we had a ribbon cutting with District 5 out there a couple of weeks ago, and so excited about that. And then just here in the last few days, we opened another one. It's a mini park. It's only about a quarter acre, but a park that we renovated. It's called Yunya Park, and it's near Van Buren and 27th Avenue. But part of that renovation was a new playground. So that's out there for people to enjoy. And then back near the end of last year, near the end of 2020, Longview Park, 14th Street and Indian School in that area, we put in a new playground. That was another park that we renovated, and it was a park that didn't have a playground before. And when we were going through that public process to decide what people wanted in the park, a playground was one of those things. And so that was something that we added. And so those three that I just highlighted are all examples of that 3PI money that went into that. And you're right, it is all money, regardless of what the funding source is, that goes back into the community. And these are things, parks are things that make improve the quality of life here in the city. And so you're absolutely right that regardless of where that's going, it's improving that experience throughout. And certainly those three that I just listed are in different areas of the city. So you can see that these improvements are being made all over the city.
And what's so exciting right now too is that during the COVID pandemic, people are tired. They are tired of being isolated. They're tired of being inside. And I know a lot of those parents that have little ones, it's really a difficult time for them. So we want them to get out, stay fit, and just enjoy the beautiful days that we have here in the Valley of the Sun. And I want to make a point, and I know we talked about this before, the city parks never totally 100% closed. Now, maybe some of the playgrounds and the basketball courts, but they were always open for walking, for hiking, for taking the dog out, correct?
Right, that's true. That's absolutely right. And we're now in a situation where the majority of the amenities are open, and it obviously includes playgrounds. We're talking all about that today, but playgrounds and restrooms. And restrooms is important because if you're taking the kiddos to a playground, you need to have a restroom nearby. And so
Hey,
those
I
are
need a restaurant going by.
well,
I need a restaurant.
right, anybody. But
Yeah.
so yeah, so yes, go out there and certainly enjoy those amenities. We are reminding people, and we do have signage up in our parks. There's signage on our website, but continually reminding people that while we want you to be outside enjoying the parks, and while there's that obvious health benefit, still to be mindful of that we are in a pandemic. So if you can't maintain 6 feet of social distance, you should be wearing a mask. If you're exhibiting any kind of symptoms of illness, you shouldn't be going to a park or going to a trail. And we also encourage people to bring their own hand sanitizer, their own wipes if you are using a restroom, if you are using some of our playgrounds or other amenities. And while we are keeping those clean and enhancing some of our cleaning, it's certainly important to have those the hand sanitizers and the wipes and those kinds of things with you. So that's the world we live in right now, and I think it's going to be the world we live in for a while. And so that's a very important part of it as well, is being out there and enjoying it, but then also doing so responsibly. And we have so many parks and so many areas that if you feel that you're going to a park and there's maybe a few too many people there, there's likely another place that you can go to and explore where you can keep physically distanced and feel a little more safe about it and still get the benefits of being out there and doing all that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for saying that, because yes, we do want people to get up and get out and stay fit and enjoy the beautiful parks, but we want them to do it safely. Now's a great time to talk a little bit about the Margaret T. Hance Park
Mm.
improvements, right butted next to the Japanese Friendship Garden. And that's a perfect example of public and private partnership.
It is a great example. And so we have a sort of a multi-phase redevelopment there of the park. It runs over the Deck Park Tunnel right through the middle of downtown between 3rd Avenue and 3rd Street. And so our efforts started on the west end of the park. We got a donation, a $2 million donation from the Fiesta Bowl and some of their supporting partners. And that was what was able to kickstart that first phase of the project, which includes it's a 20,000 square foot play area. And it's called Fiesta Bowl Play at Hance Park. It's unlike any playground that you'll find around. It's one of the most unique ones in the state. Has a lot of a climbing wall, some other climbing amenities, a sand play area. It has a mist spray splash pad amenity in there. And as well as there's these three really cool, and it's difficult to describe them unless you go there and see them, that are these animal themed play structures. And they're made out of recycled lumber and materials. They were manufactured off site and brought in and installed, and you can climb up inside of them. They're a deer, a fox, and a rabbit is what they're themed after, and so sort of themed after desert animals. They've got really cool color schemes that kind of tie in with the Fiesta Bowl's color scheme. So just it's unlike anything that we have here in the city, and unlike most anything that you'll find in the region. And it's interesting because while Hance Park sort of serves two purposes, it's a neighborhood park for the people that live around it. And we've seen just in the short period of time since that's opened in December, a lot of people, a lot of families from the neighborhood are coming out there. and enjoying it. But then it's also a place where people from other parts of the city are coming to see it. And so they're making that a destination for maybe a family outing on a weekend afternoon to go there and do that. And that's the intent of what it is. And that side of the park, there really it does serve both that neighborhood and destination park, sort of regional park aspect. And so we're seeing just in the short time that that's been open of how it's being used. And there's more to come. There's a fundraising campaign that's underway. We're working with the city is working with the Phoenix Community Alliance and the Hans Park Conservancy on a fundraising campaign. And so there's some other phases coming in the future, both to complete some things on the west side of the park that will go along with what's there already and what opened in December, and as well as some things on the east side of the park as well, which is more of an event space. That's where we hold more of our festivals, the concerts. When Final Four and Super Bowl have been here in the past, those have been areas that they've used for some of the activities tied in with that. And so there's some plans over there to improve that and make that an even better event area. So just a really great public-private partnership. That first piece that kicked off was really cool because it did provide that thing that really made it a destination and a place for the community to come to and get excited about. And we opened it in December, right that time of year when the weather's is going to get really nice for everyone and be out there. And we've certainly seen the use. There's lights out there as well too, so we see people out there at all times of the day out there using it, and it's been a really neat thing. It really was one of the most exciting things that we did in 2020 was to get that built. I mean, the construction started in March last year, and we finished in mid-December right before the holidays. So that was a really exciting event for us.
It is exciting. I have not seen it or visited it yet, but I can't wait to actually see it because I heard a lot of great news about it. And I just want to make a point too, because it's located, like you said, very central in central
Mm-hmm.
downtown Phoenix area. But the Irish Cultural Center is right there, the Japanese Friendship Gardens right there, a Phoenix Point of Pride, and of course our other personal point of pride is Burton Bar Central Public Library as well. So one last point I want to make before we wrap up is you did mention the beautiful weather, which we do have 300 plus days of sun year round here in the valley. Let's talk real quickly about hiking and hiking
Sure.
safety and when you're out and about, especially now. Again, being responsible, socially distanced, wearing a mask, if you will, and not doing it if you're not feeling well. But just give us some more pointers.
Sure. So we say take a hike, do it right. That's what our rangers tell people. That's what the Phoenix Fire Department tells people. And we have such a variety of trails, all sorts of experience levels, things that the hardcore hiker can experience, that are our summit hikes, the things that families can enjoy, some trails that are barrier free, that are ADA accessible type trails, but that also makes them great trails for a family to enjoy. They're stroller friendly. And so we have one of those, the Judith Tunnel Trail in South Mountain Park, which is a great example of that. And this is a good time of year to get out there and to see that. And we pretty soon we'll be seeing some wildflowers and things popping up as we get here into a little bit more of the consistent spring weather. But yeah, really being people get a little bit complacent when the weather gets nice. They think that maybe they don't have to bring as much water, and regardless of whether it's 110 or whether it's 65, staying hydrated is still important when you're outside doing any activity. And so that might be the number one point is to bring plenty of water with you on the hike, hydrate before, during, and after. And our rangers like to tell people that when you're however much water you've brought with you on your hike, when you're at the halfway point of your water supply, that is an indication that your hike's halfway done. So that's the time when you should turn around and head back to the trailhead. Or if you're on a loop trail, that you should be sure that you're halfway through that loop and halfway home, so to speak. So those are just a couple of the main points that we tie in there. It is as you said, starting to get into the really nice period of time for the weather. Last year, we saw over 6 million people that hiked our trails, which was up about 30% or so from 2019. That had a lot to do with the pandemic, with gyms and other indoor options being closed, that people were looking for things to do to get out there. So our trails are certainly busy. I think people know the real popular ones, the Camelbacks, the Payastawas, and even up north in the Sonoran Preserve, some of those areas are getting busy. But there certainly are many spots where you can go where you're not going to have the big crowds or the big parking issues. And just visit our website, Phoenix.gov/parks. There's prominent links on there. They'll take you to all of our hiking locations. It'll share all the safety guidelines and tips that we were talking about here today and some other ones. And really lots of options to get out there and enjoy being outside and doing it safely.
Absolutely, Greg. And we love our city parks, and we forgot to say the magic word because everything is FREE, totally
That's
free.
yes,
Totally free. Totally
yes,
free.
our trails, our parks, all of that stuff is free. You're right. Those are taxpayer-funded amenities, and yes, get out there and enjoy them. I should mention too, while we do have some of our indoor recreational options, our centers have been closed for a while now with the pandemic, but we are offering all sorts of virtual programs, virtual recreation program. And again, visiting our website, you can find all the information about those. Many of those are free. Most of them, actually. There are some fee-based ones that we've rolled out here recently, but most of those are free. They're on using Zoom or using a WebEx platform. So as long as you have an internet connection and can download the app, you can access those programs for free. We also have our Fit Phoenix program, which we talked about Hance Park. There were some fitness programs that we used to hold there in the park as in-person events, but over the last year or so, we've moved those to a virtual platform as well too, and we've seen literally hundreds of people who have taken part in that. And so there's weekly workouts that happen and also a monthly yoga class.
Thanks again, Greg, for joining us today to talk about all the wonderful amenities the Phoenix Parks and Recreation Department has. And that website again is?
Phoenix.gov/parks. It's just a one-stop shop for everything parks and recreation here in the city.
That's wonderful. Thanks again. For Virtual Report, I'm Deborah Cedillo Dugan.